Hi everyone, and welcome to the REFSIX Euro special. My guest throughout this series is former FIFA assistant referee Phil Sharp. Phil, we're through to a final. How do you
Yeah,
feel?
it's brilliant, isn't it? It's a great feeling, and I'm sure everybody in England is on a high at the moment. It's brilliant.
Yeah, my first ever tournament that I remember growing up was Euro '96, and we got to a semi-final, and and that was a great spectacle. But then since then, it's been atrocious until 2018, right? And all of a sudden, it just feels amazing to be able to say we've made a final, and hopefully we can go that one step further and bring it home as everyone's saying. But we're gonna basically kick off this podcast by reviewing the major incidents from the semis. And I want to just shout out to you, Phil, that my research showed that you did the Euro 2000 semi-final between Italy and Netherlands. It went all the way to penalties, which one of these semis did, and the other one was in extra time. So we'll ask a load of different questions about that experience, and I'm sure we'll touch on that. But the Italy-Spain game was Felix Brick was the referee, the German, with his set of officials. He did a second round game, a quarterfinal game, and then a semi final. So, which was, I think he was only referee in the tournament. Well, he was definitely the only referee in the tournament that did that. Um, and overall, I was at the game in the stadium. I didn't really see much. There was no, and Italian and Spanish fans were. There was no question of the referee at all. There was some great officiating, some great offsides. Did that come through on the TV? Was
Yeah, very much so. I think what UEFA have done there is appointed a safe pair of hands. We might hear that as referees.
yeah,
You know, not somebody to be flash or to be a bit quirky, but somebody to officiate a semi-final so that the teams can play their game and the official can step in when needed, but only when needed.
yeah.
And yeah, he performed very well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could see that in the first challenges that were fouls. He was blowing the whistle, making sure that everyone knew he was there, but he didn't need to over officiate. He didn't need to go and warn them. There was one time where I can't remember who it was. Their right back, Italy's right back, had made a couple of challenges, and he just went over and made the point like, "That's two now. I've seen it," and he's letting the whole crowd know, all the players know that he's counting, right? So but
Yeah.
overall, a really positive performance. And other than the assistant referee making a great offside decision for one of the goals, there was an incident pretty late in the game when the ball goes into the box and Chiellini kind of falls on the ball and it definitely touches his hand. But Phil, why is that not a penalty?
Okay. So the easy thing to say is, was it deliberate handball or did the ball go to the hand? And
Mm-hmm.
so when someone's falling on the ground, they put their hand or their arm down. That's a natural movement.
Yeah.
And actually, it didn't just hit his hand. I think it came off his body, maybe his foot or his leg, onto the hand and the arm. And so therefore, this was clarified a couple of years ago by IFAB, is that if a player, in an attempt to play the ball, it then hits their hand or their arm, that's not deliberate handball. So
Mm-hmm.
there's one point. Secondly, if you're on the ground and your resting hand is on the ground, then that's a natural position. If the ball was to hit it, it can't be deemed as deliberate handball. And that's why the referee wasn't going to take any sort of nonsense over penalty appeals. He just almost waved it away as if to say, no chance, not deliberate, play on.
Yeah, it was pretty instantaneous, his reaction, and it was great because gesticulating like that enables all the players, even if they're 20 yards away, to know that you've seen it, right? That's one thing that people want to know is you've seen it and you've made a decision. Because sometimes you could just not react to it, and players might be thinking, well, you haven't seen it. Have you seen the handball or not? But by basically clearly stating no, I think he just like waves a finger and stuff like that. Everyone knows all of a sudden, okay, he's seen it, he's made his decision. It's not, there's no extra hope that the assistant's going to get involved or VAR is going to get involved. They kind of know. So overall, really strong performance. And there's a lot of shouts for him to maybe get another game, maybe take it to the final. But it seems that's going to be unlikely based on the rumors we've heard about who's going to get the final. It's still not been confirmed, I don't think. But yeah, Brick has had a pretty fantastic tournament, I think.
Yeah, to get a quarter-final and then semi-final, that's quite rare with
Mm-hmm.
the caliber of referees that were at the tournament. So, as I said, the UEFA Referees Committee have obviously thought about a safe pair of hands to see potentially one of the ties of the tournament. Apart from Belgium playing Italy. Italy Spain is one of those high profile games where you need a high profile referee, somebody that's previously done the Champions League final. And also he took no nonsense. There was no play acting. He wasn't going to tolerate things. And if anything, he probably allowed some challenges to go unpunished. And by that, I mean, he didn't even give free kicks, as if to say, get up, we're not going to tolerate that today. And he set his stall out really early, and the teams responded to what was a great game.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was great to be in the stadium as well. And there was a lot of Italians there, quite a few Spanish, but a lot of English fans there as well. And one of the chants was, "We've got the wrong day," which was brilliant. I love that. A great game. So now let's move on to the game that everyone watched last night. I think the ITV said 27 million people in the country watched the game last night. It's
Wow.
unbelievable. And it wasn't without incident. There was a couple of things there that we've definitely got to talk about. The first goal was an unbelievable strike from the young Damsgaard from Sampdoria. Very one of the stars of the tournament for Denmark for sure. About 30, maybe 30 yards out, maybe a little bit more. Maybe Pickford could have done better. Who knows? But the free kick leading up to it, actually the decision for the free kick, I found quite interesting because a lot of people said the free kick in itself was a soft decision to give, but I think it actually stems from the free kick given before. So this is what I analysed, and Phil, you can tell me if I'm completely wrong here, but basically there was a free kick nearer the halfway line, and before that was taken, there was some grappling happening. And Danny McEllie, who was the referee from the Netherlands, was the referee for this game. Before that kick was taken, he went over and basically told them, "Look, I'm watching all of you. If you want to keep grappling, something's going to be given." And the ball comes in, and he, sure enough, gives the foul from Luke Shaw on, I think it was Christensen. And to me, that was great refereeing in the sense that he set them up, right? He set that decision up, and he said, "Look, I'm watching you, and if something happens, I'm going to deal with it." And therefore he had to deal with anything that happened, right? Otherwise, if he set them up and didn't deal with it, then all of a sudden, his credibility may kind of diminish as the game goes on. Don't get me wrong. I think it was a soft decision, but there was some movement of sure. I don't know. But Phil, what do you think? Have I completely talked rubbish there, or do you think he? What's your take on that free kick?
No, I think what you've highlighted is that a good referee is somebody that is communicating with the players all the time. Even when the ball's in play, that you might say to a player, like, "I saw that, cut it out, or I'm going to have to deal with it next time." And you can only give, so many sort of warnings before either one, the players think you're not going to act on it, or two, you have to act on it. And the referee last night again was there were some things that he could have punished more, but with some of the free kicks, he was basically saying, "Look, I've already told you about this, and I'm now going to take action on it." What England had to do was defend those sort of free kicks, and I don't know if anybody could have stopped that ball going in last night. It was a great strike, and from that, Denmark went 1-0 up.
Yeah, and I was fearing the worst. I thought, here we go. It's all going to happen again. A little bit later on in the game, there was a big appeal for a penalty or a foul on Harry Kane. And as I was watching it, I looked at and I'm looking at the replay. I think I'm pretty confident that looks like a penalty. It didn't look like VAR checked it, and I think it's because actually Danny may have given a foul by Harry Kane in the build up to that, like just literally a second before he
Yeah.
fouled someone else. So is that what you interpreted? I think that's where the free kick was taken from, right?
I'm not seeing a foul
Uh-huh.
or Harry Kane gets challenged in the penalty area. That's just two players coming together. If John was here,
Yeah.
John, I'm sure John would be going, there's no foul in the lead up to that.
Yeah.
That's just two players coming together. He didn't shove him away like we've seen for the Belgium penalty, which we've spoken about
Yeah.
previously.
Yeah.
This was just two people challenging for the ball. I can't see a free kick there, and I was expecting the award of a penalty kick personally.
Yeah. So I think I need to watch it back because I'm pretty confident that he gave the free kick there. He gave the free kick, even though you're saying it's
Yeah.
not a free kick.
Yeah.
But he gave the free kick there. That's where the placement was of the ball was, and therefore that's why VAR didn't get involved. Is because the referees made a decision. It's stop play. Nothing from there onwards can be reviewed. So therefore, even though that may not have been a correct call, that's why the penalty couldn't have been given by VAR because the game was stopped before that. So it's a shame because I thought that I'm pretty confident that was a penalty, but it would have been interesting to see where VAR came in because even still, the whole tournament, the bar has been really high, right? In terms of what's clear and obvious. And to me, I feel like it's a great level where they've set it at because when VAR first come in, everyone was talking about the handball in the France-Ireland game, right? Those big mistakes that shouldn't ever be seen on a pitch, right? Whereas as VAR has been implemented in different leagues, that bar has come really down to subjective calls that 50% may give, 50% won't, and then you have all of that psychological back pressure on the referee. So to me, that it would have been interesting if Danny played, the challenge happened, didn't give a foul. I'm not sure, based on the tournament, if VAR would have got involved or not. I'm not sure. What do you think?
No, if you're saying if no free kick had been given in the lead up to Harry Kane being challenged in the penalty area, I would be looking at that if you don't give the free kick to Denmark, that's not a clear and obvious error, because even I'm saying, and you saying, and other people might be saying, well, was it a free kick?
Yeah.
So if everybody was going, oh yeah, that was obvious,
but then
I could agree with it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but then moving it into the foul in the box, the challenge.
Yeah.
Danny then didn't give that one as well. Do you think VAR is getting involved on that penalty call? It's complete scenario basis. You never know.
Yeah, it's the wording, isn't it? It's clear and obvious.
Yeah.
And but you could say, but if it's wrong, how do we do this? Is it right or wrong?
Yeah.
Or is it clear and obvious? So we could give any decision and you think, well, I can see why he did that, so therefore it's not an obvious error.
Yeah.
But then we wouldn't be getting correct decisions all the time, would we? So that's an interesting take on it, is that I just thought Harry Kane was fouled in the penalty area, penalty kick.
Yeah.
And if you don't give that, is that not an error?
Yeah.
But they're clever because the wording is obvious error.
Yeah. Exactly. And this is where again, if you put that video in a room, I would want to say 75% of the room says penalty. Maybe higher, right? I don't know. Who knows?
And not because we're all English.
No, because
we're referees. And as referees, we can't take sides. We have to be impartial. But if I was refereeing a game of football, and I'm sure if you were refereeing a game of football, we would have given a penalty kick to that team.
I think I would have, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the way referees should act. Not, it's the home team or it's a bigger team or, when we go to referee games of football, first and foremost, we're impartial. and we have to give impartial decisions. And for me, that was an impartial decision, being a penalty kick, although it was for England.
So we're going to get into another penalty discussion here, and this is the big incident from the whole round. But people are going to talk about this going into Sunday. Some people are saying England were lucky. Sterling's dived. Some people said it's a penalty, but it was soft. Like, looking at it, basically, let's describe what happened. Sterling's down the right-hand side. There's a second ball in play on the pitch about 5 yards away. So that's something that we're going to chat about. Sterling then makes a dart inside the box. He skips past one player and is kind of goes between two Danish players.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to say if there's contact or not. We're going to talk about that. And then it's fallen. It goes to the floor. Danny McEllie is right on the edge of the area, basically straight in line with it. It looks like an unobstructed view. And again, without hesitation, blows his whistle and points to the spot. So, Phil, what were your thoughts on the... Should we start with the second ball? Because that's an easy clear up. So, should the referee have stopped play?
Okay, there's a misconception about this, and a point for all referees to be aware of is that I couldn't see how that ball appeared on the pitch. I don't know if a ball boy threw it on, or it was kicked on, or reasons. And actually, the law was amended recently that if, let's just say, an opposing team official from the technical area threw or kicked another ball on to impede the game, then that person would be dealt with by yellow card. But I didn't see that happen. Yeah. But the thing that match officials have to be aware of is, does the second ball impede play? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I would say this comes really close to that, but it doesn't stop the attacker or the defender challenging or playing the match ball. Mm-hmm. So, yes, it is close in the proximity, but if we can allow the game to continue, which Danny did last night, personally, I think was the correct thing to do. Yeah. Okay. That second ball did not confuse the attacker, did not confuse the defender in both going for the same ball that they were going for. But it was as close as can be before you do something about it. So I think you can see some subs warming up, and one's got his arm out as if to say, look, there's another ball on the pitch. But as referees, let's not get confused with a second ball's on the pitch, therefore we have to stop the game. Because if the ball was down the other end of the field of play or on the other side of the pitch, then we wouldn't stop it. Yes, it is in close proximity. Does it impact either of the players challenging or playing the ball? No, it doesn't. But let's get it off as soon as we can thereafter.
Yeah, 100%.
What do you feel? Do you think it impacted?
No, I think it was close. Like you said, almost as close as it could be. I was, I again, the Danish, I think the players that it could have impacted most were the Danish players, right? Because Sterling's got the ball, he's got in possession, he knows which ball he's playing with. So it's all about the Danish defenders. Do they go and try and get that second ball or not? No, they're not. They know Sterling's got the ball. So those two players that were in and around him, it didn't impede them, and therefore it's fine. You make a really good point about how to get there in the first place, right? Because if it was the ball boy, that's one thing. But if a substitute for Denmark put it on there on purpose, or if there was something different, then it's really important that the assistant and the fourth official are keeping their eye on the wider picture, not just what's going on, right? So really interesting how it got there in the first place. But like I said, like you said, I don't think there was I don't think the game should have been stopped for it. But it didn't get stopped. Sterling goes into the box, and there is a challenge or two. So Danny gives it straight away, and then now it's down to VAR to make a judgment call, like we've talked about. Is there a clear and obvious error? Um, what are your thoughts, Phil?
My first thought was not a penalty,
Yeah,
but also not a dive.
yeah,
So we're not going to caution the attacker for simulation. I think there was minimal contact there, but there was other challenges in the game where the same contact did not warrant a free kick outside the penalty area.
mm-hmm.
And as referees, we should be consistent that we're saying whether it's in the penalty area or outside. If I'm not going to give that outside, then I'm definitely not going to give it inside the area. For me, impartially, it was not a penalty.
Yeah.
That's
So,
so.
and Sterling's been, I think, unfairly criticised in the past. But don't get me wrong, there has been times where he's dived, there's simulation, but there's times where he's been fouled and he hasn't been awarded a penalty and no yellow card. And I just think it's the pace that he plays at. He's a small guy, right? He's quite lightweight, but the pace he plays at, minimal contact can affect his balance, right? Whether you say he's going down easy or not, I do genuinely believe if he's at speed, and if anyone's at speed, you knock them slightly, it can, as if their balance isn't correct, it can knock
Yeah,
them
yeah.
off. Right? And what I see here, even though it's minimal, is I see two contacts, right? I see contact from the first challenge, very slight on the leg, and then I see contact from the second guy on the right, almost like a split second between them. And you're right. Overall, I don't know if it felt in keeping with the consistency of the rest of the game in terms of the fouls, the foul judgment. I do think I'm intrigued by the idea that there's almost like two minimal challenges, but you may say actually, Hassan, I don't see either or one of them, or you see both. But if there's those two small challenges, do they add up to one bigger challenge, or you know what I mean? Because I think Sterling's quick here, and like I said, he's been tapped twice, and at his speed, it causes him to go down. I might be looking for rose-tinted glasses here, so I apologise to anyone who thinks I'm talking rubbish because I thought it was a soft penalty, but I think it was a penalty.
Okay. Yeah, well,
No, I
that's
think,
probably
sorry,
why.
I need a backtrack on that. I think it was a soft penalty. That's all. You know, it could have been given. I would have. Let's flip it the other way then, Phil. And you've already answered. You don't think it was a penalty. I think we would have been really disappointed if Denmark got that penalty. Right?
Oh yeah. I because the Harry Kane penalty was not given.
Yeah.
That was a lot clearer for a referee to give,
Yeah.
I feel, than the one on Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
And please, whoever's listening to this, please don't anybody ever think, oh well, I didn't give one down that end, so I've got to make it up, down here. That is not the case. These two things are judged on their individual merits, and if we make a mistake as referees, we have to take that on the chin. We do not then make up a penalty down the other end, which I know Danny hasn't done. He believes it's a penalty kick.
Yeah.
What I'd love to hear one day is almost rewatch the game back, and to have the referee talk through it why they gave something.
Yeah.
It did say VAR check, but again we go back to that clear and obvious error.
Yeah. And I don't think you can say it's a clear and obvious error.
No, using that terminology, that has to stick.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it necessarily right, does it? Because if you don't think it's a penalty, then you would just go, well, I feel that's an incorrect decision.
Yeah.
But that's not what VAR is there for. VAR is to say, could it be a penalty? Possibly. So therefore, we can't change the on-field decision of the referee.
Exactly. So Harry Kane picked up star of the match for last night. I thought there was some great performances. Kyle Walker, I thought was fantastic. But my man of the match was actually Kasper Schmeichel. I thought he was incredible. And he was unlucky with the penalty. He saved it, but it came back to Harry Kane. He kept Denmark in the game. There was a few amazing saves. But one of the incidents that actually happened around the penalty was there was a laser from the crowd in his face, right? Which you could say put him off, but he saved the penalty, so it probably didn't put him off. But that's quite dangerous, right? And what is the referee's responsibility and process going when they see something like that happen? Because I think at one point we saw Felix go over to Ovi Hatigan, the fourth official, to mention it to him, and then the fourth official told the match delegate, I think, or something. But I don't know how I don't know how that gets solved. How do you identify that person in the crowd? And when does safety when does the safety of the players come involved? How much of that are you going to allow? When do you stop the game or not?
Yeah, this is actually something that I don't know if you remember happened quite some years ago, where you could say opposing spectators had these laser pens and were using them on goalkeepers at the times of penalties, or when the ball was in the penalty area, to put them off or do stuff like that. And then what referees were doing is, obviously you can't necessarily see who's got the laser pen, but we did notice last night that Danny went over, as you say, to the fourth official, who then spoke to the match delegate. Is that I don't know what that incident was about. Was that about the laser pen? And if it was, or if it was about anything else, the same process is that the match delegate would get onto the security and try and use the security cameras within the stadium to pinpoint where it's coming from.
Yeah.
So you might see, because I think, wasn't the green pen on the right side of Kasper's face?
Yeah. So
you're thinking, therefore, it's coming from that direction.
Yeah.
So if they could have the cameras over there, might not find somebody straight away, but that would definitely be an ejection from the stadium or the ground for that person. You're not endangering somebody's safety, but you're doing something that nobody wants to see, and the spirit of the game and fair play. Yes, I agree with you. I don't think it affected him saving the penalty, but we don't want to see that, And I think that anybody, true supporters would hopefully say, "Can you put that away, mate?" Or that we don't want to win because we've blinded somebody with a laser pen. It just doesn't feel right, does it?
No, it definitely doesn't. So, what I wanted to do was use some of the kind of the things that came to my mind that the officials might be talking about, and ask you some questions based on your experience. So, number one, and it's slightly different this year because you can have 5 substitutions in the game, and a second one in and an extra one in additional time, in extra time. Sorry. But what it seemed to do was change the momentum and change the tactics of the teams and almost change the game, right? So in your preparation to the semi-final or in any game, do you try and predict the substitutions and the formations, or know that if XY player came on the pitch that they would change from a 4 to a 5 at the back, and how was that going to change your style of officiating, etc.?
Yeah, I didn't over analyze it myself. Maybe a referee would, because the referee has to move about the field of play more than the assistant just on the touchline. Doesn't matter whether I've got 4 at the back, 3 at the back, 2 at the back. I'm sticking with the second last defender who could change at any moment.
Sure.
So personally, I didn't let, say, names of players affect my performance. I just thought that it's, Reds against Blues, and my main role was offside decision making. But I think what certainly happened last night in the England-Denmark game is that with Denmark using up all their substitutes during what seemed like normal time, and then they obviously could use their 6th one in additional time or extra time, is that they'd used them all up. And I think the commentators on the TV said that the second period of extra time they played with 10 players because they've got injured or for whatever reason they can't field 11 players. And I think that's the worry. We saw the other night with Ukraine trying to put on 3 maybe young players at the end of the game against England, and that backfired. Is that why would you use up all 6 when, if somebody gets injured,
Yeah.
surely the point of having that 6th one is that you use them not for tactical reasons, but for injury reasons.
Yeah.
England, on the other hand, didn't use any substitutes in the 90 minutes. Is that correct? And only then brought on Jack Grealish in extra time?
I think they used one. I think Jordan Henderson came on.
Okay, well, if it was one,
It
that
wasn't.
still means, even if they used one in 90,
Yeah.
that still means they've got 5 to play with
Yeah.
in extra time. And in fact, I think what worked was fresh legs, and, we've got half an hour to play. And we know what we've seen before where, players go down with cramp. Well, here we've got 5 players that could potentially change the game, are fresh, could chase after the ball. And although a goal didn't result from that, the winning goal came from the penalty kick, is that I think that England's tactics were better than Denmark's, because why would you use up all 6 when you didn't really need to?
Yeah. Now, this really comes on to another point, which is it's the teams have the luxury of being able to make substitutions, but the match officials don't, right? Unless you're injured, there is no coming off the field to play halfway through the second half of extra time, etc. So when and kind of drawing back on your experience from that Euro 2000 semi-final, is when do you start to prepare your, like, one, are the officials and assistants prepared for the 120 minutes before they even start the game? Number one, like, from a physical fitness perspective, are they ready to go? And, like, at any point in the game, in the 90 minutes, do they start to think about, oh, well, this could go to extra time, so I'm going to conserve my legs for the next 5-10 minutes? Like, do any of those thoughts come into the mind?
Yes. Is the easy answer. I think that for referees, you have to prepare yourself for what the competition requires.
Yeah.
So if you've got a game that could go to extra time and then kicks from the penalty mark, you have to prepare yourself for that.
Mm-hmm.
Referees sort of sometimes joke by going, oh, it's going to go to extra time and penalties and I'll get home later.
Yeah.
Hey, you're there to do a job, and if that's what it requires, then be prepared for that. Most referees probably at this time of the year are preparing for the new season. Those at the higher levels are having to do fitness tests.
Mm-hmm.
And one piece of advice would always be, don't just train for the distance that you need to achieve, but train for longer.
Yeah.
Because then you've always got something in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
You can rely on those, and a bit like doing a 90-minute game. Well, if I need to officiate for another half an hour, then I need to prepare for that.
Yeah.
And the point you made about, do you save yourself? I can see where you're coming from with that, but no, if anything, and especially when communication came in, the last 10 minutes of a 90-minute game, or the last 5 minutes if you're doing extra time, the referee would be talking to you saying, right, come on, 10 minutes to go, let's stay strong, be focused. And the reason behind that is because everybody is more likely to make mistakes in the last 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Because of fatigue. So players and officials could, if you allow it, switch off, make mistakes. So by the referee talking to you and saying, hey, Hassan, hey, Phil, come on, 10 minutes to go, let's be focused, then it's also giving you that little reminder that, yeah, this is the time when I could easily make a mistake because I've switched off. So therefore, I'm going to even switch on even more, so I don't make any mistakes. And the same for the extra time and the kicks from the penalty mark.
Awesome. And then when it comes to the extra time and kicks from the penalty mark, does the referee give you do you have a little extra time pre-match talk? Do you do it before the game, or do you have a little chat during the break between the 90 minutes and extra time, or do you already know your responsibilities going into that?
Yeah, I think in a tournament, or in the professional game, that's all covered in the team talk, whether in the dressing room or in the hotel before the match.
Mhm.
Um, what I would say though is grassroots football is that maybe use the time at the end of normal time to talk to your club assistants, or maybe your referees who are acting as assistant referees, because it could be quite in depth and actually too much information
Yeah,
to give out when actually one team wins 3-0 and we're not even going to penalties.
yeah,
Whereas in a major competition, they'll be saying, right, Hassan, you're the senior assistant, so I want you to go on the goal line,
mhm,
look after the goalkeepers. Phil, you're the junior assistant, so you're going to stay in the centre circle. Make sure that it's only the players that ended the game are on the field of play. We can't have substitutes. We can't have parents, spectators, the coaches.
yeah,
And even sometimes I see, assistant referees and the other goalkeeper standing in the wrong place,
mhm,
where the laws of the game clearly state that kicks from the penalty mark, the assistant referee is on the junction of the goal area
mhm.
and the goal line, or people refer to that as the 6-yard box. And the goalkeeper that is not trying to save is at the edge of the penalty area and the goal line, so behind that assistant.
Yeah.
And basic things, but I'm prepared for that if that was to happen. So yeah, I'm already prepared for it, you could say.
And then, and just on that though, but what is the conversation like between with the officials in that period of time the before extra time starts? Is it the referee kind of trying to keep you going, motivated, etc., or are you just thinking about, okay, let's get the captain in, let's do the toss again? Like, what is there any words of encouragement? I want to get
Yeah,
a peek behind the curtain, basically.
yeah, no problem. Yeah, I think first of all you're going to say well done for getting through the 90 minutes. We've had a really good game, but now we need to almost turn the page, and this is a new chapter. We need to think about the next 30 minutes, and then if it goes to penalties, we'll think about that if it comes to that.
Yeah.
And so stay focused. So a little bit of morale boosting, team talk, as I'm sure the coach does to the players. We've had a really good game so far. Let's keep it going.
And how much is it the other way around, right? So we always look at the referee being the leader and kind of taking that role on. But I know I've seen. I'm pretty sure Howard Webb has said that his assistants gave him a lot of belief in certain times where maybe on the field he was starting to lose, but maybe there was a tough decision and his assistants helped him get that confidence. Like, did you find that that was part of your responsibility, that was part of your style? You wanted to give feedback back to the referee and be like, yeah, keep going? Or could you identify when the referee needed that? And did you have that?
Yeah, sure. These guys are working week in, week out together, so they know each other really, really well.
Yeah.
I think as an assistant referee, you've got to have the confidence of knowing when to say something,
Mm-hmm.
but also not talking for the sake of just talking.
Yeah.
So it might be, just before the start of the game, I might have said to somebody, right, let's go, let's enjoy it, something like that, just to sort of kick it off. Just before half time, it might be that I'm saying 5 minutes to go, guys, keep up what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So little things, you're not going to be talking to somebody for like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they say, can you just shut up, please? Or things down the other end of the field of play. So
Yeah.
it's knowing when to say and what to say, but trying to be supportive and encouraging.
No, awesome. Brilliant. And so we've got, what day are we on? We're Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 more days, 4 more days to see out before the final. The final referee hasn't been announced yet, but we heard rumors the other day that it might be Bjorn Kuipers, another Dutch referee. What will that? And we've touched on it before, but will the officials be nervous? I know they're going to do a lot of preparation, etc. But how do they keep themselves, relaxed going into that game? Or should they? Should they be nervous so that they're on point?
Yeah. everybody's different, and obviously there are different referees at the tournament that have got a lot of experience
Yeah.
and others that are quite new to it. So if it was a relatively new referee, they might be quite nervous, but I would like to think that an experienced referees team is not going to be nervous. They might be apprehensive, but definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Personally, I felt that my game always raised a level when I had a really important game, whether it was a quarterfinal or a semi-final, the opening match, or in this case the final. Is that, you know, you don't want anything to go wrong,
Yeah.
but you're not overthinking it. So therefore, you're just going, right, I've been selected for my abilities. Let's just be cool about it.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, I know some referees that are quite nervous beforehand. They feel that they have to be. You know, that's their preparation.
Mhm.
Personally, I was just quite sort of cool about it. It was, you know, something that I'd done for a long time. I really enjoyed doing it. So quietly confident.
Oh, awesome. No, I'm excited. Do you think? I think it's gonna be a tight game, right? It's gonna be really. I couldn't. You know, you could flip a coin. I don't think it's going to be many goals. I think there's two great defenses. What are your thoughts? Are you nervous about the game?
I'm not nervous. I wasn't even nervous last night, but I was just sort of like, you know, you get a little bit frustrated when things don't quite go, but
Yeah.
you just have to think that it's a 90-minute game or a 120-minute game. Um, Pleased that it didn't go to kicks from the penalty mark, because that would have just been the same old what we've been through
Well,
before.
especially with
But
Kasper Schmeichel, yeah.
yeah, you know, Italy are probably favourites. You know, to the football fan,
Yeah.
England might be close to that by thinking, well, you're playing at Wembley, you've got the home support, and the home support last night was unbelievable from what I saw on the TV. Um, you know, it could be one mistake
Yeah.
and one team defends for the rest of the game. Who knows? I just hope that it's a great game. Obviously, as an Englishman, I would love England to win,
Yeah.
but hey, let's not beat ourselves up and it's the end of the world if we don't win, you know, and that's the problem, you know, the euphoria of how well we're doing
Yeah.
could soon be, oh well, you know, you did something wrong
For me as a Newcastle fan and a long time England fan, just making it to the final is a success. It was, you know, you'd quietly every tournament you go in, you quietly hope you're going to get to the final and you win it, right? But um, yeah, if we win, it's icing on the cake. I think we're seeing progress. The team's so young that actually it's an incredible achievement, really, to get to the final, because you've got to think 19-year-old Bukayo Saka has been playing, and you know none of us had really heard of him 18 months ago, and there's a few players that were out of contention with their clubs. They've come in, they've kind of reinvigorated themselves, and you know it's just been an unbelievable journey. So hopefully we'll come out at the end of it with some silverware. It'll be nice, first time in our lifetime, or my lifetime at least. I don't know, Phil, were you around in
and
this one? I'm not sure.
yeah, I was two,
Okay.
but I have no recollection, no memory about anything.
So this will
So
be the same for you then. The first one that really you know that we're going to remember. So
yeah.
well, fingers crossed. And what we'll do is on Monday or Tuesday we'll get together and we'll talk about the final, and then we'll review the whole tournament as a whole in terms of the refereeing. Because let's leave it in terms of the refereeing. Let's end that. So far, it's been pretty phenomenal, the refereeing.
Yeah.
Even Danny's decision last night doesn't take away from the fact that he did the opening game, he did another group game, he did England Germany game, semi-final, and a load of the officials have just performed fantastically well. Do you? And you'll know some of them from your time in the previous Euros. Do you look on and are you proud? Like, what's your overall kind of emotion when it comes to the refereeing in this tournament?
Yeah, I'm really proud. You know, I've known a lot of these guys from previous tournaments, and I think that the way that they've worked with VAR, you know, we've sort of spoken about that today, but I think the way that their positive use of it, you know, the quick results, the
Yeah.
referees going to the monitor, making a quick decision, that's what I believe VAR was all about,
Yeah.
which I don't feel we've seen in the English game.
Yeah.
And so I hope that for next season, if there was something that we could take out of these Euros into the domestic competitions, would be a more efficient, more productive use of that, and referees going to the monitors making decisions, so that it's seen that the match referee is making the decision, not somebody talking in my ears making a decision. Yeah, but no, it's been really, really good. I just want to clarify something before we go,
Yeah.
because obviously if the final goes to kicks from the penalty mark to determine the outcome of the game, the commentators for the Italy-Spain game,
Yeah.
you saw the 3 match officials and the 2 captains, and Chiellini was having a bit of a joke, and you know, one of the commentators said, "Oh, he slapped him around the head," but it wasn't a slap. But they were joking over who has the choice of ends
Yeah.
and who takes the first penalty. Well, the commentators didn't really know what the law was. They basically said, "Oh, he's won the toss, so he's choose that end, and
Yeah.
he's won that toss, so he's kicking off." Actually, the law was changed a couple of years ago to say that the match referee will toss the coin twice.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one is heads or tails, determining heads, it will be that goal we're going to use, and tails, it's going to be that goal.
Yeah.
And the only time we don't use that is if the security at a stadium would say, look, it's not safe to go down that end, or the goal area is waterlogged down that end. But
Yeah.
if everything's fair, then the first toss of the coin is for the referee to say, heads, we're going to use that goal, tails, it's that goal.
Yeah. So the
Okay?
players have no decision, but it's
No,
what.
the players do not choose which end, which goal they're going to kick into. Okay, so that's determined. That's, I think, what all the laughing and joking was about. The second toss of the coin is that I'm going to toss the coin, and heads, you're going to have the choice, or tails, you're going to have the choice. So there's 2 tosses of the coin,
Mhm.
but the first one is determine which goal we're going to use.
Awesome. No, great. That's it was a funny scene between Chiellini and Alba, but no, let's hope that process isn't needed on Sunday. Phil,
Yeah.
thank you very much. As always, it's a pleasure, and hopefully everyone listening has learnt a lot. And we'll see each other again early next week, and hopefully we'll have massive smiles on our face.
Hope so, my friend.
Phil, thank you very much, and everyone listening, take care, and we'll see you next week. It's coming home.